This is Brandon Thomas, and I'm checking out Animal Status.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Animal Status. My name is DJ Wonder, and we have a very special guest becoming a new member of the Midnight Society tonight. All the way from Atlanta, Georgia, his name, Brandon Thomas. What's up, Brandon? How you doing?
It's good, man. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good to see you. I did mention you were from Atlanta, Georgia. Is that where you were originally born? Is that where you were raised?
Yeah, man. North Atlanta is actually where I was born, like a Marietta area, and then I grew up on the South Side though my whole life, like Riverdale, Fayetteville area. It's like an area called Peachtree City that I'm from, but Riverdale, College Park. That's really where I like started my my career. My whole sound comes from there, like the original trap sound, like helping pioneer that whole wave, and then
Well, before you got into music, what were some of the things that you were into the most? Did you ever get into like skateboarding, BMX, or any of that stuff, like sports or other hobbies that you had?
Well, I feel like skateboarding was always something that was a part of my life at an early age. You know what I mean? Like just like the area I was from, like I moved from like kind of like the hood to the suburbs. So I was like skateboarding was like kind of like my outlet at first, going to skate parks, hearing like rock music, punk, rap, all that. And then just kind of taking that basis of what I kind of like grew up listening to and then mixing that with like, the fashion. Like I used to love like, SBs, just like cool Nikes and just like the cutoff pants, just shit like that. Just like the whole vibe of it all. Like, and just I took that and translated it into music because like, some of my homies were like breaking their arms and shit like that. And I was like,
You don't want to do that, man. That's a problem. Yeah. But by the time you were like 10 years old, that's when kind of Little John had come in and was kind of reclaiming the hip hop like central area from New York City, moving it down to Atlanta. So how was it being like in the middle of all that as it was just starting?
Man, it's crazy. Seeing all that was really cool because like my pops, he used to kind of work a little bit with like Keith Sweat, Monica, all those people. So I used to kind of just see when I was young, like he ended up becoming a doctor, but like at first he was like into music heavy and doing jingles and all that production stuff, showcases. And I kind of just saw that whole thing and I was like, damn, I want to like be in it, but I want to kind of be an artist and a producer at the same time. Like I love like Jermaine Dupri, like what Diddy was doing. I really liked Timbaland, Kanye, all those guys, and I was just like, wow, this is cool. Swiss Beats, just seeing how all those guys could just make a sound and still be a rapper, like even RZA, like just, and I realized that a lot of these people were from New York. So eventually I ended up, moving up here. Like after You Guessed It came out, Kanye was interested in like some of the stuff I was doing. So they kind of like had me come out to New York a lot. So I just basically, was like, damn, New York's probably a place I should spend most of my time because it's crazy out here,
The industry moved down to your hometown, and then you moved back to where the hip hop industry started from, New York City. So that's interesting. What about you? Talked about your father. So he was like a producer and engineer, right?
Yeah, he was a producer and an engineer, and he used to write a lot of songs and stuff. So I kind of just like learned it, had the approach of like how to compose a record, just from scratch and like get build it, like bring in musicians if you need to, whatever, just make really nice records and then how to basically independently build a street team, do showcases, stuff like that. I always kind of was into that. So I was one of the ones like in my school, I would just start my own rap groups and stuff, and like the third OGG just happened to be the third rap group I started. You know what I mean? There was like, by the time I was in like college, I dropped out of college and because I went to a military school when I was young. And then, the third rap group was just guys that were more hungry, I guess. And we all came together and we were like, damn, we really want to do this. So.
Yeah, we'll talk about OG Maco, OGG in a second. But shout your dad out, man. The guy who started the whole thing, right? Who is he?
Oh, of course. Okay, so he's more like low key. All right, so his name's John Thomas. Like he goes by Dr. Thomas. He really was like he was like a engineer, and he did more like R&B production. Like he made some of the dopest beats. He's really good at keys and stuff. So he had like a label called Jabasto Productions, and like basically there was a lot of talent that would just come through. Like I remember Monica would come through. She was like, I think she was like 20 at the time, and there was like a lot of new artists and new faces that like I knew they would blow up, but I was just like, how is this all happening? You know what I mean? Like from the garage type of thing. You know what I mean? So
So he gave you that A&R ear also, and discovering talent as well. You didn't even know it back then. What was the first piece of production equipment you ever touched?
Okay, so my dad, he gave me his Korg Triton. It was like this really nice keyboard, this gray keyboard. It's like a Korg Triton, and then Elise's drum machine. Like, you know, just like old school stuff. So I learned how to produce on old school gear, whereas like a lot of the new cats, like they kind of learn like on like YouTube and stuff, which is great. Like my little brother, he's a producer. He goes by Levi Thomas, and like he produces like more in FL and stuff. And I kind of learned FL and all these new softwares from like my younger brother and like the producers around me, because at first I was more into like the old school approach to production and making sure it has that analog feel mixed with the electronic feel, and also incorporating like live instruments and stuff. Cause I really like it to feel like real music. You know what I mean? Like I remember growing up on early records, like Shawty Swing My Way, stuff like that. Like the old, like 112 records, like Jagged Edge, like, you know what I mean? There's stuff that was like R&B, had like chords and stuff in it. And then the drums were also really fire. You know, even like one of my favorite records from New York is like that Big Pun, I Don't Want to Be a Player, shit like that. Like this really like, it's like, whoa, this is like a party anthem, but it's still like musical. So it's like, you know, I like stuff that's like more world music that everybody can listen to. And, you know, I end up traveling a lot now that I'm older. So
tell them what your Instagram is and your nickname on there. What's it?
Oh man. So man, like when I was like 17, 18, they named me Dan Brandon. Like I was working with Key and Maco and all of them a lot, and you know I started going by Dan Brandon, like and it became my beat tag and shit. So basically all the hits that I did back then for like Yachty, Cardi, all those guys, like the Dan Brandon tag became really iconic in the culture and stuff, you know. And that was a way that people were able to recognize me. You know, at the time it was important in Atlanta to have a tag for sure.
Right. So Dan Brandon T on Instagram, you can check him out. Now, if you don't know who we're talking to, Brandon Thomas, he's most notable for producing the song, you guessed it, by OG Maco. Would you say that's your biggest song so far?
Yeah, man, that song really grew legs. It really became a big record. A lot of people, honestly, thanks to the fans and the supporters and all the people that remixed it, all the cosigns and stuff.
Mm-hmm. What drew like crowds to you and Maco when you first started your group? Like you guys would do shows, and a lot of people hadn't heard of you yet. The song hadn't really come out, but what were you guys doing different on the scene than anybody else that was coming out of Atlanta?
I would say, honestly, it was really dope at the time. When we first started, we had a lot of unity and teamwork, and there was a lot of like just college parties and house parties we throw. We had this house called the Blue House on Edgewood in Atlanta, and there was a lot of people, like the whole AUC, you know, like Spelman, Clark, Atlanta, Morehouse, all that stuff. Like that whole scene was really important for our come up, as well as just like, you know, Maco and all of them had the streets on lock, and then me and this kid named Breland, all these guys, like we all had this whole scene kind of on lock, from like the college side to just everything. And then when you get that, when you're independent like that, and then we all kind of just were smart about it. We wanted to work smart instead of just like working hard and doing a bunch of stuff we don't have to do. We're just like, yo, we can just get the hoodies and merch and pass it out ourselves, put the stickers where they need to go, perform where we need to perform. And we're already fly too, like, you know.
Yeah. That's cool. So you already had that presence before you actually popped off. But you guessed it was a very minimal sounded beat, and I think you talked about you made the beat in 15 minutes, and I think Maco might have recorded it in maybe 15 minutes or something like that. Now, knowing your dad was such a like key player, and like he was about layering instruments and making them sound big, how did he feel about his son doing a 15-minute thing that just went crazy across the world?
So at first he was just like, man, is this the record? And I was just like, yeah, I think it's really good. It's minimalistic. And I was just explaining to him, I was just like, you know, like people are going to appreciate this in France. People are going to appreciate this overseas. People are going to appreciate this everywhere, because it's just like, there's like basically like almost only like 3 layers. So it's like, it's very easy to mix. It's very simple. It's very nice. This is going to be the new texture of the time for how people approach trap music. And I was telling them about how, like, my boys, like Sunny Digital was like mentoring me at the time. Kind of, I was like I let him hear it. My boy FKI, it's people like that in Atlanta that I had looked up to growing up as producers, like 2 9 guys, Curtis, Williams, Key, all those guys. I was like, yo, this is. They were telling me that they had loved this sound, and I was making a couple of them, and I was like, this is really like, you know. And then sure enough, it was good. And then he was like, wow, he saw how it all came together. And then, you know, over time now, I kind of take that same minimalism approach, but like I'm able to like crossover trap with other genres. And you know, I just like to be able to like say that like probably like me and the collective that I have, like I would feel like we're like kind of like the Grateful Dead, like in a sense, for like rap collectives, and like you know, we basically help kick down the floodgates, like for real. Like
you're a jam band that people come see play for 8 hours and smoke weed to all day. The Grateful Dead of Atlanta, right here. OGG baby. Check this out. The Maco was in like he was working on rock projects while he was working with you and doing other stuff. Do you think that sound alongside your production style kind of influenced the next wave of like the DIY? Like XXX and Lil Pump and all these guys who are using kind of like punk and metal alongside trap. Do you think you guys influenced that?
Yeah, definitely, because we all like real music, and we like, you know, like Queen, stuff like that. Like I remember Maco really like System of a Down, and he used to listen to a lot. And I like punk music from skating and shit, and like The Clash, all the London vibes. And he really liked he really was into System of a Down, and I remember he was really big on Phil Collins. Phil Collins was like his favorite artist.
That is crazy, man. Yo, Phil Collins. Listen, folks, if you're listening right now, go check out some of the Genesis and Phil Collins discography. Some great, like, just for production, just production alone. Even the way his vocal production in the album that Phil Collins did, his solo album, it's crazy, man. So definitely check that out. After You Guessed It came out, there was a lot of people that kind of, I guess they were, I don't know if they were riding the wave or they, like you said, just appreciated your style. Even like your friend, like FKI, he did the 2 Chainz song, and then also Keith Ape, they did Itchy Ma, man, which got him into a little hot water over some cultural appropriation or something, whatever.
Yeah, that's my boy. We end up doing a lot of records.
Yeah. Cool. But how did you feel when people started kind of doing that sound on their own and not consulting you on that?
Well, look, at first I was like, damn, it's crazy too, because I never really ever even got to really sit and chop it up with 2 Chainz or anything. Like 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne, 2 Chainz remixed it. Then Lil Wayne put it on No Ceilings. And then, you know, I saw LeBron co-sign it. Chris Brown was Maco for Halloween. They were hanging out a lot, you know, and it just was really cool. Like, that's what I'm saying. It kind of opened the floodgates in a crazy way to where it got so crazy that I didn't even really know what to do at the time. I'm still independent, but a lot of the guys from OGG are signed. So it was just awesome to see how everybody got to win off of this record in a crazy way. And then as far as like with Keith Ape and the Ijima stuff, like I ended up, my boy Jay Isaac was in the military at the time in Okinawa, and he was one of my boys that I grew up with that helped me learn how to produce and stuff, because I was a rapper at first, like rapping, writing, engineering, like kind of like jack of all trades, but then producing, it became a focus through like my people that kind of were like, you know, he's like really disciplined, like military kind of guy, like, and then I basically, at the time when Ijima came out, I ended up moving to Tokyo for a couple months, and like going back and forth to Tokyo and Okinawa, really learning about like Asia, the culture, the sound and everything. And then I ended up working with a lot of those guys like Keith Ape, like 88 Rising, they were buying beats from me and stuff back in the day, like, you know, and it was just really cool, because then when around the time we did a video, they got you know, they had me get K Supreme on the record, and then you know, he's like the right hand of like Lil Yachty and stuff at the time. So it's really cool to see everything come full circle and see the whole wave come together and see how small, you know.
Right, man. Definitely a life-changing record for sure. Brandon Thomas. Damn, Brandon, that's his name. He has a new song that we played earlier called I'm a Texter, and it has kind of like a world sound, maybe electronic sound. It's up-tempo. Is that kind of the music that you're exploring now, or have you always been into that style?
Well, honestly, man, you know, kind of like when you think about it, like Dr. Dre, even like when he first started, like, you know, like Dr. Dre was into like a lot of the like disco and funk music.
World class wrecking crew, and they almost had like a freestyle sound on a lot of the records, or like, you know, Africa Bambaataa styles. That's what they were doing on the West Coast. That version of it. So yeah, I completely understand that. Yeah,
I grew up on that type of music. Like I grew up on like funk and R&B and stuff, and like that's why I like appreciated rock and stuff and just like real instruments. So I kind of like since I was able to help pioneer like the trap wave, I kind of took some of the elements and textures of that and started mixing like the textures of the drums, like the knock, the stuff, the bounce with like, you know, the house feel and the live instrument feel and stuff. Like, so it's honestly like our R&B and house music mix. There's a lot of like funky bass lines and stuff, and I feel like that's like kind of where the sound is going for it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I really appreciate house music and just a lot of the stuff that's going on internationally. And I've kind of always been into it, but you know, I was also into like the trap music and like, you know, the mainstream stuff too. But, you know, I definitely like, okay, what I was about to say is there's this label called Ed Banger Records.
Yeah.
They're in Paris.
I'm very familiar with Ed Banger, man. Justice. That's
probably one of my favorite labels, like Breakbot, like this guy Mid, like this really going crazy. Right? There's a lot of cool stuff out there. I really like my boy Lavin Cali. He's really going crazy in LA with like the old school R&B vibe, more so mixing it with like the mainstream stuff. But I like R&B and I really like funk and I really like house. So when all those are together, like it's just so amazing. Like I've been to Asia a lot, like Taiwan and Japan and stuff, and I've also seen how they like take the sound and like it's really nice in Australia. Like I went to Melbourne, it was awesome. Like I love what Tame Impala's doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like when it meshes right, like just real music stuff that's like feels like more of like an experience and people can dance to it. Like, you know, because honestly, with like you guessed in some of these records, I love the records and everything that I made, like the early trap records. But once I saw how crazy the influence was, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like I can make like records or like experiences, like, you know what I mean? Like I got to kind of learn from like going to some of my boy A-Track. He had some early shows and stuff that he would like invite me to, and like I got to like work and meet a lot of people. Like I got to work with Jaden Smith a lot back in the day, and like I got to meet like people like Frank Ocean, like just people that were like they're kind of in the hip hop space, like the urban space, but they're making more like world music, more music that everybody could appreciate. And I felt like, you know, that was just a better route for me rather than like just one sound, because, you know, I want to make some more stuff for everybody. And I really do like live instruments anyway.
Yeah, man. It's like it's a genreless sound, I guess. That's what you're going for. Just something like you said that meshes all together. But is the ultimate goal to be like a festival DJ? Is that something you would get into?
I would, but okay, like someone, shout out to you know, Quincy Jones and his son Quincy the Third. Like I've been chopping it with him a lot lately. Like they've been kind of like, you know, like really inspiring and influential for me. Like basically like what they've been able to do as far as like Quincy's been able to like do sound and scoring soundtracks and stuff for movies and shows and different things, like Fresh Prince to like Oprah movies to like just all types of stuff, like the Austin Powers stuff, working with Frank Sinatra, like how he really was able to like really take his sound from Michael Jackson and then even go beyond that. Like people, it's like, where do you go after that? You know what I mean? And that's kind of just, I'm really trying to take it to that level where, like, you know, one of the biggest producers of all time, not even just for like the fame or money part of it, more so for like the cultural aspect of like people being able to like after 100 years from now being able to like be like, okay, this is the fundamentals. Like kids can like be like, okay, they want to learn how to make music, they can make you guessed it, then they can make something like that's like more grand, like a more contemporary song that's like pop world type of record. Then they can take it past that and like, you know what I mean? Like I was listening to We Are the World the other day, like whoa, this is crazy. Stevie Wonder is one of my favorites. I like Marvin Gaye. I like the classics. I like samples and how the samples are able to mix with, like when I was in the lab with Kanye, Travis Scott, Mike D, and all these guys, I was able to see how they're able to mix the hip hop 90s vibe with like the modern day vibe. I really fuck with what Griselda's doing lately. Like, you know, that's why I love New York, honestly, like, because it's like, you know,
it's definitely the epicenter of a lot of creative things going on. Even now, even though people have branched off and are doing things from their bedroom in states you never would have thought like stars could have come out of, but people still love the vibe when they come to New York, and it inspires a lot of people, man. And maybe it inspired you to create the title "If Animals Could Talk." What does that title mean for the new album that we're waiting on?
Man, shout out to you, by the way, too, for having me on here. This is amazing. I really like AnimalStatus. It's really dope. Like when Noel, shout out Noel and Fame by the Flame, you know, they helped curate this next video that I'm doing, and you know, Noel's been a huge help in what I'm doing. Like, If Animals Can Talk, the album started coming together when last year during the pandemic, I was in Paris for Fashion Week and everything. And I ended up kind of like stuck out there for a little bit. Like once they kind of like started changing the rules on the flights and stuff, and like just like international lockdown, it kind of started making me feel a little crazy. So I was like, yo, I got to get out of here. And like the border's about to close. My visa's ending soon. So my boy, Marcus, like we were like, okay, let's go out, you know, to shoot some videos and some different stuff. And, you know, we were working with a female artist at the time who wanted to do a video in Morocco. So we ended up going out there, and then we ended up going to Israel, and just, you know, it became a cool trip. And I ended up like just really, I really love the culture and stuff of just international, like France was amazing, but especially Israel, something about like the vibe in Israel, the culture, the music, the food, fashion, everything. I really have always been into that. And I really like the desert vibes and like animals and stuff. So I just thought about like how like, you know, If Animals Can Talk it basically is like a lot of the things I talk about on the album and say, it's just like me being myself, and just really like, I don't know. I feel like there's more people that don't really like follow like the social cues of like every day, and kind of just like, I don't know, it's more like unfiltered. And I just think like it kind of relates to like how like animals and stuff in the wild are kind of like primal, like they kind of just do what they feel like, you know what I mean? Like we're kind of like taught to like be how we are and stuff. Like, I don't know, it goes deep and deep.
It sounds deep, man. Well, we're two animals talking right now, man. You're on Animal Status, as you mentioned. So one more thing about the album, you're independent, but if you could give your entire budget, like you have no money for anybody else, you get one artist to be featured on your album, who would you pick?
Wow.
Off the top, just hit me with it. First person that pops in the head.
Yo, I think I would either have Elton John or Stevie Wonder.
Wow. Okay, I'd blow my budget on those guys too.
The grand level of like where they took it, as far as like the music, the fashion, everything, like the experience, like just like, you know, like I really want to make real music, like you know, like and just like capture that like, you know, like even when like Queen, like Freddie Mercury did that Live Aid concert, like that shit is crazy, dude. Like millions of people, and like the way that the camera like panned down, like I don't know. I like to watch a lot of movies. I like a lot of classic music, but like, okay, as far as like new artists, I'm pretty much like a lot of like I'm pretty good friends with a lot of the new kids, like like they're like my peers, like Brent Faiyaz, Cardi. Like I just did a new record with Lil Yachty like a couple months ago, actually. Like he's been working with Drake. My little brother's probably going to be cooking with Drake soon. You know what I mean? Like it's like Quentin Miller's one of my boys that I grew up with. So all these type, like the new artists and stuff, like I feel like they are eventually going to keep continuing to hit me up. And you know, like how it is, like, you know how like the music industry is, people hit you up.
Favor for a favor.
Yeah, like of course, and it's the same, you know.
Yeah, I get it. All right, cool. So let's focus. The other guys at Drake, that's not a problem, man. Let's focus on Elton John and Stevie Wonder right now, man. We've talked about production. We've talked about the new album, If Animals Could Talk. I'm a Texter. The new single has over 1 million views on YouTube, folks. So go check that out, man. He's getting a little crazy with the ladies in the video. You got to check that too. But so speaking of ladies, what's it like when you've been out to LA? Have you has it been an interesting experience for you?
Man, I love LA. Honestly, like, you know, being a musician is kind of it's interesting. Like, you know, every real artist, like big artists, like, you know, we all have our like girlfriend or so, but then like, you know how it is, like the music industry's crazy. Sometimes you have to get on the road and travel. It's like being in the military. Sometimes you might have to take a break. Like it's kind of hard. Like That's the part that artists don't talk about. It's like, because you really love your girl. It's like, it's like part of it is like the people that help you and stuff are like part of the reason I feel like that make you successful. But then at the same time, sometimes you have to go travel and take time away from them. And so people might feel like, oh, like left behind. behind, or you're leaving me here or there, but it's all love, and you're gonna come. You know what I mean? You know how it. Like,
yeah, this is a great way to explain it. I'm sure this is how you explain it to all your girls. So basically, what they're saying is, if you want to date Brandon Thomas, ladies, it has to be an open relationship on his side only, not on your side. You got to remain faithful. But
no, I mean it's the same thing for them. Like realistically, like if you have to go, like for instance, like bro, if like we get $1 million budget right now to go to Ibiza and we have to go for 3 months, like then kind of like we're gonna go, like, you know what I mean? Hopefully the girls can come with, but maybe they might not, and maybe like they might have to, you know,
they might have to stay home and actually have their job and stuff like that. They can't just go on vacation with you.
Yeah, in a perfect scenario, you want to be able to bring, you know, whoever, you know.
I get it, man. No, but so you've had that's a kind of a relationship thing. That's you got to navigate that as an artist. How about something you maybe walked into at an industry party, or you've seen behind the scenes that have kind of made you question how you move, and if you don't want to succumb to these weirdo things that are going on out here.
Okay, something like, okay, well, I mean, I think like the Hollywood parties and stuff, like I feel like that's like a thing that's just always going to be like, there's always going to be crazy parties in Hollywood. But I just think like, I don't know, that's kind of like why I live in New York and stuff. Like LA is cool, but LA can be a little like, LA's for the rock stars too, but I love LA, you know what I mean? I think all this type of parties and stuff is just like, it's like how there's like, I don't know.
Is it a test for you? Do you think these people put it out there just to see how far they can push you, or you know what I mean? Or how do you take? Like, is that why you went back to New York? You got to kind of stay grounded.
Oh, well, honestly, me personally, the reason why I like New York is because like I run a business and like I think of my music more like a brand. Like I have like a creative agency, stuff like that, like kind of thing. Like I like to come to New York to make sure I can focus and like service, like, you know, myself and the community of like the artists and people that like I work with and people that I mentor and stuff like that. But LA, I love LA because like they have the crazy parties and they have like, you know, like all types of cool stuff. And like, I don't know, that stuff is kind of like, I look at it more as like entertainment, but I don't really like go to any super crazy parties like that. I'm more like throw my own parties, you know?
Yeah, you've never stumbled onto like a Masonic ritual sacrifice in the back of somebody's mansion anywhere? No?
Nah.
Okay.
I feel like all this type of stuff is like, I feel like this stuff definitely happens probably, but like,
yeah. Well, you haven't quite made it to where you need to be, because that as soon as you do that, you're gonna be over the top, Brandon Thomas. All right, man. And you need to check out this guy's Instagram, Damn Brandon T, and you can see kind of the things that he's talking about and kind of the experiences he's had thus far.
It is pretty crazy though. Yeah. I'm really independent, man. That's the crazy thing about all this stuff. That's why I'm like, man, like I don't know, life is just great. I've been to like probably like between like 8 to 12 countries in this past like 3 years, and just been traveling and working and stuff like independently, kind of like just keep doing what I've always known to do. And that's my advice for people too, because like there probably is some crazy stuff going on. Some of these people, who knows, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, man. I just keep working.
And Brandon wants to see it all. He has to have all the experiences in multiple different countries, man. You're gonna see this guy. He's a real jet setter.
I gotta keep to the basics, the fundamentals. That's what I do.
Yo, so you have I'm a Texter. It came out at the end of last year. You have a new video that's about to come out. What for the song we just played, favorite song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when can we expect If Animals Could Talk, the album?
Okay, so the new video, Fame by the Flame and Unified Art Club, you know, we put together this new video. Noel's Notions and I directed it. It's called Favorite Song. That video is basically like, it's a nice Vegas vibe. I do with, you know, some friends, Ashley, Dan, Tori. It's like this cool, you'll see it. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like a vibe. But that video is more like, the song is R&B, house vibes. And then If Animals Can Talk, that album is it's gonna come out in a couple weeks. I want to get it out before the summer's over. You know what I mean? Like it's really dope. But that album, it has like a mix of hip hop, R&B, house, but I would classify it as like a world album. It's gonna be a fun experience. There's like a lot of like nice jazz on there, and like.
All right, cool. We'll be looking forward to that, and I'm sure they can follow all your socials and see when it actually does come out. Let them know where they can find you outside of Instagram. What should they look for?
Well, Brandon Thomas on Instagram, YouTube. You can pretty much find me on YouTube, SoundCloud, you know what I mean, Spotify, all that. I'm gonna be dropping a lot more content, flooding a lot more content. A lot of the platforms have a lot of old music and stuff on there, but I'm gonna be dropping a lot of new music. Like the SoundCloud era is crazy. It's mad records on there, but it's all about just keeping up and putting new content out. So I'm gonna hit y'all with some new content so y'all can stay updated, because I was really on Instagram a lot, pretty much this year and last year. So.
All right, man. Well, keep it coming, because we need to see some of those exclusive parties you're going to get yourself into around the world. Hey, man, I got to go put the fire out over there. I'm glad we were able to induct you into the Midnight Society. If animals could talk, they would say, we're happy that you are on Animal Status. Brandon Thomas, man, we really appreciate you. And let's get out of here, man. Animal Status only on Shade 45.
Yes, sir. Peace.